Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on WSGW. Now, here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America. Well, the season seems to have finally changed, and we are now moving into warmer temperatures as we navigate this new season. Summer is not here, but here in the Midwest, as you guys understand, Memorial Day is the official kickoff of the summer. With the summer comes festive occasions where we get together with family and friends and weddings and the 4th of July, which is shortly around the corner. Well, I don't know if you're like me and probably millions of other people. Getting together with family is supposed to be a fun time, but oftentimes there are those notorious relationships that you have to manage and deal with because we're family. So today we're going to talk a little bit about dealing with difficult people. That will be the topic that we'll talk about it and work through on today. And I'm just kind of curious as to how many of you that are out there can relate to the conversation that we're going to have. But before we do that, let me introduce the other gentlemen that are in the stream. They're not in the stream. They're actually in studio with me. I know it's hard to believe, but to my right is my main man, Mark Bassett. Mark, what's going on?
Hey now, back from California. We'll be headed back there next week.
And he brought his little beach seashell by the seashore. Yeah. She sells by the seashore shirt.
Yep.
And so he's in full festive occasion. And then also the producer, John B, in the place to be. What's going on, John?
Hello.
Does
she sell shirts by the seashore?
Yeah, wow. That works as well. You got to be careful. We might be saying some things on air that we're bleeping out here. But hey, well, you know,
wait a minute. It's been like 40 degrees when I wake up in the morning the last
few days.
It's been
free.
There was a woman I saw yesterday actually wearing a winter coat in the morning.
Yesterday, I went back and put on my wool scully. I'm not going to lie. And I turned my heat back on, which I was like, it's off. I'm going to be a hard nose. But when those temperatures start hitting 61 and 62 degrees inside the house, I was like, hey, it's time to turn the heat back on, at least get back up to 68. Hey, but I wasn't going to talk about this. I didn't even think about this until I got here. Did you guys see the pictures, the images of what's happening with the Alberta blazes, how the smoke is affecting parts of Michigan and New York?
Well, I saw New York last week.
That was last week for the most part.
Yeah. But I was tripping out because even here, we're not the northernmost part of Michigan, but we're in the mid portion of the country. I was like, does it look hazy outside? Yeah.
I wasn't here. I was in Southern California, so I didn't see it. But I saw pictures
in the sunny suns of
California. But I was in a meeting with the guy flying back to New York City that was worried that am I going to be able to get back? And I saw the pictures in New York.
It looked like
shut down a Yankees game. They canceled Yankees game.
When they canceled the Tigers game too.
Yeah. When they start canceling games like that, you know that this is serious. But it looked like something out of Apocalypse Now. How orange it was, I was like, you know me, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is it.
Did you see the picture of the Diablo 4 advertisement that they had?
No.
There's a big sign advertising the new Diablo 4 game, and it said, "Welcome to Hell, New York." And it was all smoky and red and terrible.
Perfect timing for that.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was such a weird occurrence. But, you know, I guess this is a testament. Do you think people are really listening to the impact that what we're doing and how we're living is really making on the environment? Or do you think they're saying, wildfires happen, it's going to happen?
I think generally speaking, people largely believe that there has been an impact. The degree of the impact, I think there's a wide spectrum there. But I think the vast majority of the population believes that, yes, it's had an impact on the environment.
You too, John?
I would agree with that, yeah.
I would think that as a young person, you're like, save the trees!
No, I'm not.
Nah, Jonathan's pretty conservative.
Forget the trees. No. But it's.
I don't
like
think
you said,
there's extreme. Is it? Some people like in 2
spectrum
years, if something doesn't happen, the world's going to end. I don't believe that.
But do you remember when we were kids? I know when I was a kid, one of the things that I thought was really fun, and you just don't see them every year. We would plant trees. Did you guys do that?
I remember. I think we did it. We did it once when I was living in Indiana. Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, in today's world, and I'll speak for the Western world, U.S., Western Europe, the companies in general are taking much better care of the environment. Waters are cleaner, air is cleaner. There's less litter all over the place.
Corporate tycoon.
No, that's just the facts. It's just the facts.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I agree. I would agree with you as well. Now, I just saw something before I came in, so I got to throw this out there. And Mr. Conspiracy Theorist John, I got to get your input. What's back in the news is this the idea of where COVID came from. And the conversations that, hey, it looks like it may have come from a lab.
We didn't. I thought we got there like 6 months ago.
I did, but now, but they're looking for proof, and they're talking.
I've actually believed that all along.
I kind of did too. I did kind of as well too.
Yeah.
And so now, like,
I don't view that as conspiracy theory. I just
no. I'm just saying, people. It's not really, but people had been saying this for a very long time. It was like, oh, you're so ignorant. But now we're finding out. Usually, the thing that seems most likely is usually the case, and the government tries to make us stupid about stuff. So now we're finding out that it more than likely did come from a lab. So was this an accident, or was this a test trial for future operations?
I don't think anyone does that as a text. I mean, because frankly, if it came from the Wuhan lab, China was hugely impacted. It's been a disaster.
Well, they got too many people that they're probably.
It's been a disaster.
Allegedly,
forget about that. It's been a disaster for their economy.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, and so I don't believe that anyone did that on purpose.
I think the certain things you might think may happen a particular way, and sometimes they backfire on you.
I think that things were known. I think it was an accident. I think people knew about the accident well before any impacts
and did not
were felt
let the information
say anything
right.
about
it. That's the tragedy right there.
Yep.
That's the real tragedy. So
I tend to agree with Jonathan on that one.
No, Jonathan, I think we all agree with you on that one.
Yay!
But I think
it's the first. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes.
Okay, so guys, we are now it's celebrating time. We got the Golden Knights of Vegas.
I didn't even know they existed. I don't follow hockey to begin with.
Are you serious?
No, I mean, I am serious. I don't follow hockey to begin with. I'd never even heard of them until they won.
One of our Saginaw Spirit players, Matyas Sapovalev, was selected 10th overall by the Vegas Golden Knights in last year's draft.
And so we have a connection.
Did he play or?
He went to training camp with them last summer, but he came back to Saginaw to play, and he's eligible to keep playing in Saginaw this year.
Okay.
So he'll likely go into that organization after this season.
So, I mean, I think I was going to bring up this because I also want to talk about the Denver Nuggets, who won the NBA championship. Yay.
Yeah.
Can I make any more sense? I was not excited about I think this is probably the least watched NBA finals in history. I didn't necessarily want the Lakers to win or anyone else. I was just like Denver Nuggets. But I will tell you that I have mad respect for Jokic and Murray. They played their behinds off. And I'll tell you what it
He's
shows.
The first guy to average a triple-double, I think, for the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is a surprise, honestly.
No, the interesting thing or the exciting thing for me is that it puts a light back on something that has been missing from the league for a very long time, and that is fundamental basketball. Yeah. And, so I look at Murray, I'm looking at Jokic and their entire team. First of all, they played great team ball, but I looked at the fact that it's not just a game about high-flying antics.
Three-point shots and drives to the rim, basically.
Yeah. I mean, now we're talking about bringing big men back into the scene.
What goes around comes around.
Fundamental, right? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Yeah. So I appreciate that. But the other conversation is this, the NBA and the NFL and the, NBL and everyone else, they always bring these expansion teams in. And it's interesting, like you look at a tale of two different cities. Denver has been waiting for how long to win a championship? Forever. But then you bring the Golden Knights, which I think is a hilarious name for a hockey team, especially in Las Vegas. It is so perfectly fitting.
You should see their helmets. They are hideous.
But they come in 6 years, they are able to pull together a championship. 6 years.
Yeah.
And
It's all about leadership, making good decisions at the top.
I mean, but I think that's important. I think that having vision is important.
Yep.
When I was looking at this and I was reading the story of Bill Foley, their owner, he was talking about, hey, 3 years we're going to be in the playoffs. 3 years we're going to, then it was like 3 years we're going to win a championship. And to see you like fulfill that prophecy is so it's cool. Only 6 other teams in the league have ever done it. It is such a rare feat. It's like, remember when New Orleans was in, they moved
Tampa
to
Bay Buccaneers.
But it was like New Orleans Hornets, and it was like, they're never going to win. Then they went back to Charlotte. They're never going to win. How long is Charlotte going to ever win before they win? But to see a team come in to be impactful and to make it happen. And I look at how Denver is celebrating because it seems like forever since they've been in the league and haven't had any traction. And to see a team, an expansion team.
They were one of the ABA franchises that came over to the NBA. That's back in my day.
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, but to see these teams be able to make that encounter, I think it's really historic to me on how fast that happened. So congratulations. If you are a Nugget, what's a Nugget?
The Golden Nugget. It's mining up there, a lot of mining.
I mean, so what's
but
their
Denver's
mascot?
been on a roll.
I think chicken.
I don't know. They won the
chicken.
hockey. They won. Denver's on a roll because they won the hockey championship last year and they won the NBA championship this year. So
I just thought about what he said. Did you hear what he said?
no.
He said, I said, what's a nugget? He said he thinks chicken. Chicken nuggets. So they got like a little chicken
golden
nugget.
Yeah.
Little golden nugget.
Yeah.
So they're chicken nugget. That is hilarious.
I don't know what their mascot is now that you say it.
That's a good question.
Look it up,
Please,
Jonathan.
Yeah, Johnny, you got to tell us what that is. But I thought that I was crazy. But I want to get to today's conversation because I think, we can't skip this. What is it? What is it, John?
It's some sort of cat. Hold on.
It's a cat?
His name's Rocky.
Rocky?
For the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
So instead of real chicken, they use cat meat in their nuggets?
Maybe that's a mountain
We've heard
lion
that
or something.
before.
It's a mountain lion, it looks like. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So his name is Nugget?
His name's Rocky.
Rocky?
For the Rocky Mountains.
So,
They're at the foothills of the Rocky Mountains.
Then why are they called the Nuggets instead of the Rocky Mountains?
Well, that's the original ABA. The Denver Nuggets was the original ABA team. They've just kept the name.
I'm confused.
Okay.
Denver, you got a winning team, but
Get on
not
the
a
same
winning
page
game.
here with
Yeah.
your image.
I don't. The branding is just throwing me off here. But anyway, so number 45, guys. It's been a while since we've talked about him.
Yep.
So yesterday,
Thank God. Yeah.
And I don't know why people are excited about this. I really don't get it. I'm not excited. I don't want to see, and I'm not a fan. Y'all know that I'm not a fan.
I'm
Never
not
have
either.
been of number 45. But I don't like the idea. I don't even like the idea of our presidents. I don't like them being prosecuted, even though I know that no one's above the law. I just don't. I guess maybe because he won't go away either. I guess that's part of it. But I don't like the idea. Like if he was convicted on, are we going to really send him to jail? Like I don't like that idea.
I mean, I think he totally mishandled documents. I think his ego.
I think his ego is a reason why he's being
responsible. But do I think this is espionage? Like he's going to do something with these? No, I don't. As much as I dislike the man, I don't think this is espionage.
Well, espionage. When you look at the it's bigger than just spy games, but it's the willful knowing.
But to me, there's a great. Yeah, I think he willfully did this because his ego and thought he could. But was he going to do something with it that would totally jeopardize? I don't think so.
I don't know. Allegedly, there's stories that he had those pictures in Russia with those women of the night. So maybe he was exchanging some of the boxes to get the pictures back. I don't know. John, what is your thought? Is this craziness?
I think that this is going to be the one that all of his followers are going to see how corrupt and bad they stood with him through the 2016 election, a whole presidency. They stood with him through 2 impeachments, through January 6th. They stood with him through an indictment. But this is going to be the one. This is going to be it. Boy,
he's going downhill. But
Jeez.
no, but really, the real story behind this is: do you think? Because we've finally seen a number of Republicans break rank with him, and I'm going to tell you,
I don't think this will change a single vote.
Well. This is my thing. Low key, Donald Trump is like the Godfather. He is, he says what he's going to say, and he does what he says. And if you don't like, you can not like anything about him. But I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but I like that particular factor. That he always tells you what he's going to do.
I don't know that
he's not really going to.
Says he's going to do.
He's not really going to do that. Yeah. But then he does it anyway.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree with that.
And I'm not just talking about government. I'm just talking about the type of person that he is.
Sure.
So do you think that they're going to finally break rank? We've seen people say, "Oh, well, we won't defend this." I mean, it's kind of big. We've seen Christie come out, and
Christie's running against them?
Okay, but this is funny. Okay, now this is mean. I'm a big guy, right? But when I saw Christie on stage with his town hall meeting, am I the only one that thought to myself, they're never going to have him be president? He doesn't look like a president. And in my mind,
does Donald Trump look like a president?
Okay, orange has never been the color of a president.
Fake hair, this horrible hairdo.
That's kind of like all the presidents. Have you ever noticed how different they look when they're running versus when they've been in there for 4 years? But I looked at this and I thought to myself, and tell me, I know this is wrong. So people who are my big bone folks out there, be mad, because you have a right to be mad. But my thought, and this was my thought, was like, he's never going to be president. He's too fat to be president. I thought that, and I'm a big guy, but I thought he's kind of a fat guy.
So is Trump.
Have you seen Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, he is, but he appears differently on the film. And I'm just thinking, I don't care what anyone thinks. I really don't. But I think that a part of us chooses our president based upon how he looks. Am I completely
how he presents himself?
How he presents
that's
himself.
Different than how he looks, I think.
If it's not true, they wouldn't dye their hair while they're running. They wouldn't go out there and get those spray-on tans and everything that they do to look young.
He was doing that before Trump. I don't know anybody else.
But I'm not just talking about Trump. I'm talking about all of them. I think about President Barack Obama. You never saw gray hair on his head when he was running. But once he got in all these gray, they mask, I think, these things, and they present this image of youth and fitness, and I don't think that Governor Chris Christie fits the bill. And it was kind of interesting looking at it and going, I don't think that no one would vote for him because he's overweight. And
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't. That doesn't enter my mind personally.
It doesn't enter your mind?
No. It's really more about what do they stand for. Do I think they're a good leader?
So I'm just superficial. So it's just me.
I've only been through two elections.
But do you think I'm the only person who looked at the camera and thought that?
No.
I was like, why he doesn't look presidential? Presidents are nice, thin, tall. They got little colors to them,
like Taft or Herbert Hoover.
That's what I was going to say. Wasn't Herbert Hoover the one that needed a special bathtub in the White House?
I'm just giving you
more
my
recently,
thoughts.
Like Richard Nixon was not a good-looking man.
Have we ever had a president that was like bald that was running for?
Richard Nixon had male pattern baldness.
How long ago was that?
That was, he was president in 68 and 72. I think he was elected.
I'm impressed that you even remember those.
I was a kid.
With even a miles of distance of those.
Yep.
But I just thought about that. Our presidents,
Jimmy Carter, was kind of a feeble-looking dude.
Jimmy Carter. Well,
Joe Biden's not a fountain of health here. I mean, the guy is like 80 years old. And looks older.
But however, if you go back and you look when Joe was running for office,
he hit
it.
I don't know.
His hair was slightly a different color. He wasn't like
his mental acuity you couldn't hide.
He had a tan in full effect. And so I think that this is, as America, and I'm just being honest, I think that we can be a little superficial with how it just kind of popped into my head, and I was just wondering
do they have a presence about them or not?
Yes.
Do they? To me, I don't know if it's about size.
How many times do we say, does he look presidential? What the heck does that mean?
It's like when they say, does the person have executive presence? It's, it when you see it, but it's really hard to articulate what it is.
But isn't that based upon a preconceived understanding of what executive presence and presidential is? Doesn't that mean that we've created in our mind some kind of understanding? Really, honestly, I mean,
does a person come in and kind of own a room, and it's just almost an aura about that person.
So there's a certain, I've been waiting to say this word, je ne sais quoi that they have about themselves.
Kareem, I think that's it.
Okay. All right. We're going, I want us to turn the corner. I want us to get into the conversation that is at hand. And for many people, may not seem like a big thing, but for me, it is. We got the family text. It went out and it said, hey, I'm having 3rd of July. We're going to celebrate the holiday on the 3rd of July. Everyone come over. So I'm like, hey, so what do we need to bring? Just bring your appetite. And so I thought to myself, my entire family is going to be here for this. All you got to do is bring your appetite. And suddenly I started thinking about, Jesus, am I the only person on the planet that when we have major family get-togethers, I love my family. I want to say this first. My mom was one of 10 children. And all of the children, the children tried to outproduce my grandparents, and now the grandchildren are producing kids. So
what's going on with you, man? I mean, you're an outlier here.
No, hey, I took care of everybody else's kids. I'm not trying to have a whole bunch of kids. Okay. Those days are gone. Me and my mom.
Mother Walker, what do you think about this?
She said, Mark is getting. Unfortunately, this is the last day that Mark Bassett is available to be on our program. Mark, no. We had the conversation. Okay, we're going to put that on pause. Okay. We had the conversation, Mark, and I was telling her my brother was born when I was a senior, my senior year in high school. So
that's like our oldest and youngest is about the same.
So we're 16 years apart. And it's because I graduated a year early and I started school early. So I graduated really, really young. So my senior year, I had a kid's car seat in the back of my car. I'm driving around and he was like the built-in passenger. So I would go to school, go to basketball practice, then football practice or track. And after I got in, you got to go pick up your little brother from your grandmother's house. So I helped raise my brother, changing diapers. And I was like, I'm never having kids. I said that in my mind at that point. Then there were all of these other kids as an adult that needed parenting, and I'm bringing people in, and kids have been raised in my home. So I have a ton of surrogate kids that have had to raise. Now I just don't want any kids, right? I don't want it. I think that part of parenting is overrated.
It's hard work, man. Having raised 7, man, it's hard work.
Parents. And my mom is like going, I guess I'm not going to have any grandkids. And I'm looking, I have a brother that's 16 years younger than I am.
You got to step up, man.
You got to, what's come on, you got to carry the torch.
What's your brother's
Take name? One for the team. Odell,
you need to kind of step up, dude.
Odell, this is your younger brother. Yeah. I've taken many for you. I've taken a number for the team. I need you to take one for the team because mom wants some grandkids. She's not satisfied with the one she has. So it's your turn. But we're gonna when we get back, and we're probably gonna have to pick this conversation up on the other side of the commercial break. But we got the invitation, and now it's in. The family chats have started about, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what time we're doing. We've got the pleasant exclusions. And I think that's what you were talking, the family members that.
Do they know they're excluded or they just don't get invited?
Who?
Or is that not something we should be talking about on the air?
Show? Well, they know now. No, but I don't think that they know that they're excluded.
Okay.
But the other family members have been given some strong clues about what's
who
to
invite,
happen,
who not to invite,
and what's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I love my family. It is always fun. But the challenge of having to deal with the different personalities, fitting it back into family roles, having to deal with, the uncle, the aunt, the uncle, capital THE, the aunt, that we always have to deal with. It just kind of brings me anxiety. It's coming up fast. Are you guys experiencing the same thing? Or are you just happy-go-lucky and don't have any problems? I want to talk about this really quickly because we're going to talk about dealing with difficult people. How do you get through the family holidays? How do you get to the place that you can have a good time, leave, still be friends, and everyone gets a take-home plate? We're going to talk about this and more right after the commercial break. Stay, don't go away. We'll be back with more United Shades of Gray.
You're listening to United Shades of Grey on WSGW.
This is your guy, Kareem Bowen. We're back with more United Shades of Grey, conversations of race in America. Before the commercial break, if you were with us, then you know what we're talking about. We're talking about dealing with difficult people, coping with people who make you smile.
Well, I think there's a difference between a person in general and a family member, because I think dealing with a difficult family member is far more difficult than dealing with just some person you're interacting with day and night.
I want to talk about that too, Mark, because one of the things, as I was thinking through this conversation, I thought about the different levels on which we communicate with people. But I want to start with the family dynamic. Jonathan, when 4th of July is coming up, holidays coming. So do you have the uncle, quote unquote, aunt, cousin, family member that is somewhat tough to manage at times?
Well, you were talking about people that are difficult to interact with on the family level, and these gatherings coming up, and a couple names come to mind, but not quite like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person's going to be there. It's just kind of one of those, okay, this person is always there. Okay.
But it made me realize, specifically, like, name, is it what kind of
give names?
What
tell us who they are, Jonathan.
Are there specific topics they tend to want to talk about that kind of creates friction or disagreement, like politics or religion?
Just people with ego.
Okay.
It's one of those, a lot. There are some people who think they know everything.
Got it.
But it made me think, well, if I can't think of any of these people that are difficult to deal with, maybe I'm the person that's difficult to deal with.
Oh no, Jonathan's going to be there. I'm not coming. I'm not coming.
It's you, John. You didn't know it.
Probably is. No one's
gig
told
is
me.
Up. But Mark, okay, so I know we were talking a little bit, Mark. You said that you kind of have similar anxieties.
Yeah, again, I'll come at it from, my parents, there's only 2 kids, and we rarely get together as all of us kind of a thing.
Right.
But I have 7 kids, as we've talked about, and once a year I try to get them all together as a little family reunion, because they live all over the country, so we never get together as a whole family unit. And
can I ask you a question real quick about that, Mark? Okay, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, and hopefully your kids are not watching, and hopefully that daughter-in-law of yours that watches, hopefully she's sleeping or taking care of the kids. Okay, I know that parents with kids, each child is different. Now, I'm going to say this. My mom is in the stream.
Yep.
I'm the difficult child.
Yep.
I in this conversation in my family, I'm that guy. It's very clear. My brother and mother both say, you are so difficult to deal with. You have different kids. They both all have different personalities. Yep. Is one of your children more difficult than the others in terms of helping them, getting them to buy into your whatever it is?
Well, they're all interested in coming. What I'd say is there's 1 or 2 where they have a higher potential of creating drama or being the center of drama than some of the, there's a few that's like there's never any drama. Now, you don't know what they're really feeling and whether they're holding kind of their anger or their emotions in. And there's 1 or 2 where, they could flare up at any given moment, kind of a thing, and it can create drama.
So in your in your nuclear family,
and they would know who they are, and they would be honest about it. Yeah, and they would be willing to admit it. So
they know that they're the problem child.
Well, that they can be emotional, react very quickly.
But you think that
I cannot be emotional.
But you think that they're aware.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100% aware of it.
So brothers and sisters, what is their response? Your other siblings?
Well, that's kind of where, like, again, and I have this thing of like, I'm bringing us together to be a family unit, and I don't want confrontation. I want us to have a good time together. And so they, where it could lead to is debate, anger, storming off in different directions. And so I've had this rule, which I tend to get voted out on, of like, well, let's not discuss politics. Let's not discuss religion.
Right.
And because those are flashpoints. I have 2 sons that are like super into guns, and 2 kids that are like literally physically afraid of guns.
And you're not a big gun person.
And I'm not. And that, the last time we were together, that caused a little bit of a flare up, but I was actually very proud of the way they actually kind of reconnected, found a compromise that everybody was good with. But, in my idyllic world, I'd prefer them not to have a flare up, kind of a thing.
John, you don't have these issues in your family?
No. No, we all.
Well, they're Lutheran.
What are you, the Waltons?
They're Lutheran. They hold all their emotions in, man.
We all passive aggressively hold our emotions in, and when we're in separate groups, we kind of go, "Oh, you got a load of that person over there,"
and it never comes back to the main group.
Hardly ever.
It's okay. So yeah, I know I got serious family issues here. No, I do honestly. When we're sitting here, you're talking about that. I was just thinking to myself, the number one thing that drives me crazy about my family, as much as I love you, family, I really do. But is what you said doesn't happen. You know, we go to separate groups and we think that there's a reprieve, right? We get to sit here and we get to say what we want to, and we're all. But then it always gets back. It always gets back. And I'm like, where's the loyalty for one? Then secondly, when you're the person that's a part of the conversation that being taught, like, why don't you just talk to the person that you have the issue with? That's kind of how.
Now, does anything ever get back about, like, you wouldn't believe what they're saying about you, Kareem?
No, that doesn't. I just hear it. You just hear it, and then you're just kind of like, you know what? Why am I even coming to this family thing? And so part of the problem or the issue that I have in terms of us coming together.
How big is the get together? Out of curiosity, how many people are we talking about?
Well, I mean, okay, so if what we're talking about for the 4th, this is like all of my aunts and uncles that are here in Michigan, cousins, and second cousins, the whole shebang, in-laws, outlaws, everything in between. So there could be a lot of them, and we have a lot of fun.
Well, a lot is what, 40, 100?
It can be anywhere between 40 and probably 50, 60.
Okay, that's a pretty big group.
It's a big group.
Yeah.
And the thing is this. So you got to time it is one of the things that I've learned to do. So I'll go, we'll laugh, we'll have some food. Once people start getting comfortable is when all of the shenanigans start. And
is there alcohol served at this thing?
My grandparents were
teetotalers.
No, they were pastors.
Okay.
So we grew up as kids and as a family of never having alcohol present. That's one of the things that changes because now grandparents are gone. So, hey, I'm grown. I do what I want to do. So alcohol enters the equation.
You're halfway to being Lutheran already.
Yeah.
So alcohol enters, people get more comfortable.
The real truth comes out.
And
how
a little
they really feel
courage
comes out. Yeah.
And those conversations. and the thing about it is, and this is my biggest thing, in our family, we have this dynamic where everyone thinks that they're right. Okay. It's just something that everyone's right. And then it's like, okay, let's just drop it. We'll drop it for 2 seconds and then it's
right back.
We cannot stop it. And to me, it's the most functionally.
What are you guys debating?
I mean, it could just be, it becomes things like, if I say names, they're going to kill me and I'm going to be the center of conversation.
What's the issue? Is it like.
It could be anything. It could be the fact that you didn't like my baked beans.
Oh, okay.
Well, you remember that time you cooked those baked beans and didn't nobody want to eat? And then it becomes this whole, then it's like, well, I don't like the fact. And then like emotions are involved. Okay. Now kids are involved. And I stress out about it. But I want to pull this all the way back because I love my family. I love spending time with them.
Sure.
But
sounds like it.
How do we get through the holiday? No, honestly, I really do. I do. They're a lot of fun. It's just after the meal, I think people get tired and sometimes it's just time to go when it's time to go.
Something tells me Kareem may not be invited next year.
But well, if my mom's in here and she decides, oh, you got to go listen to the radio show, then I'm really in trouble. But in my family, I'll tell you, let's bring it back to my family.
Yes.
So I don't offend anybody. In my family, I've found that we have a small nuclear family, but my mother and my brother both say that I am the difficult one.
I can believe that.
Can you really?
Yeah.
John?
I can see a situation where maybe that would.
Where is the loyalty? What is it that makes you
the loyalty is
honest.
being honest and being loyal.
All right,
that's a real friend. Or do you want us to be like, oh, well, yeah, no way, Kareem. And then Jonathan and I held like, oh, can you believe
that works for me, especially on the air when they're listening. That works for me, especially on the air when people are listening.
You're a confident guy. You've got a presence about yourself, and you're not afraid to state your opinion and fight for it. And that invariably, leads to people wanting to debate it.
And often, well,
even now people are coming alive in the social media stream. Yes. But go ahead, Jonathan.
Either you're going to be the person who's confident in what they're saying, and you're going to say it, and you're going to encounter another person who's confident,
right?
And there's going to be some conflict, which, if handled maturely, is probably a good thing. Or you're going to come up with people who just want to avoid conflict at all costs, and they're not gonna set up and defend their position, and they're just going to get pushed to the side or feel that they're getting pushed to the side, and then you're the bully and you're pushing through when you're just kind of being you.
I think the biggest mistake people make.
What does that mean, John? I'm just kind of being me.
And I think it is
being
important
confident, having a strong opinion, and believing what you believe is right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I actually think that the mistake people made when they have these kind of discussions,
right,
is they think that they're going to have a debate and they're going to convince the other person that you're right and they're wrong, rather than just going, here's what I believe and here's why, in the hopes they understand it, and listening to hear what they think and hope that you understand why they have their position. Everyone's trying to quote unquote win a debate when you're not going to. It's never going to happen. You're not going to win a debate in a forum like that.
Most of the time, honestly, and if I were to be 1,000% honest, I find myself, you guys may be onto something. This I'm being healed. This is healing and therapeutic for me. This is my Zen place. But I need you to understand, I often find myself in these confrontational conversations, especially in my immediate family. It's either my mother and I or my brother and I. And then my mom thinks that I'm instigating when I try to get my brother and my mother to have moments of truth. I think that, hey, if you guys are going to yell at me, let's be honest about the things. And so I may drop seeds of understanding and wisdom so that they can have honest conversations about things that they've shared with me. It's a little petty. But what I found is I always want people to understand. And Mark, I think that you're on to something. Right. I'm not really always concerned about winning an argument, and that's what always happens.
I think everyone's trying to win their argument, and that's
I just want you to understand me, whether you agree with me or not. I just want you to understand, and I think that what happens is most people think that when I'm trying to explain to you how I feel and what I'm thinking and my perspective, that you think that I'm trying to convince you that what I feel and what I'm saying is right.
Yeah, they from their perspective, you're telling them that they're wrong.
And then when you say, no, I'm just trying to show you kind of what I think and how I think and why I think it, then you're moralizing, you're taking the moral high ground. No, I'm not trying to win this argument. I'm better than you because I'm just trying to explain my stance, is how that it gets perceived.
Yeah, then I'm arrogant and you're conceited and you think you're smart. But this is the thing that I've begun to do, and you guys let me know what your thoughts are. And those of you who are in the social media stream, let me know. And if you're listening to this and repeat, I want to know if you can relate to this. So post something in our stream on one of our social media platforms. What I often do now, because I hate arguing, I really, really hate arguing, is I stop arguing. I just stop saying anything. And I go silent. Like,
well, that's what I do. Like in a different family circle, and I won't get into it, but I basically shut down. And so I'm there, I'm present, I interact superficially, I extricate myself as quickly as I possibly can. And that's kind of the other approach, basically.
Then there's the third approach where you smile, everybody smiles and nods and then goes off into their own little areas and complains about each other.
But, I really struggle. And maybe this is something that I really need to work on. I really struggle when I feel as though I'm being misunderstood or mischaracterized. Like, I feel like that's when all guns are blazing are coming.
Well, that's why you should avoid topics that create. I mean, there's certain topics that just really create emotion.
I mean, but if we're not talking politics, if you're talking, the thing that gets me is when someone says, "Oh, you are this. You're just being this." I'm like going, I'm not mad. I'm not upset. I'm trying to explain to you how I feel. That's what makes me upset.
And it's when you're trying to explain to them why you feel their baked beans aren't as good as last year.
Absolutely. They're not that
There's
good.
not enough mustard in it this year.
Yeah, but I can see how that kind of minor thing can spiral out if people start throwing accusations at each other.
So I've had to learn to pull back. So Stacy says it's hard in the social media stream. It's hard for others to understand that when you are very passionate also about what you're saying. I hate when I am just trying to explain. Now, I have been told a million of times, why are you yelling? I'm not yelling. I'm just very passionate about what I'm saying. What you have stumbled into something that is very important to me. And so now I realize that passion and anger for some folks, for disagreeing folks, they sound a lot alike.
They certainly do.
So what I've learned, and this is something I've begun to do. I already am, before I get there, I'm conditioning in my mind, you are not going to be upset.
Don't react.
There you go. You're not going to react. You are not going to let anyone get the best of you. You're going to have a good time, and anything else, you're going to politely find a way to excuse yourself from conversation.
You know what could be effective, and I would do this at work a lot, is ask questions.
What do you mean?
So like they bring up a topic like, well, I really think this. Then you really start, rather than responding to that and say, well, I believe this, ask them to explain why they believe that. Like, what is it about that? What, why? Like, oh, I really like this politician. Well, why? And you just keep asking whys to really get them to articulate why they believe that. And
let me tell you how that goes in the Bowen family. Okay. So go ahead. Ask me a question, Mark. No, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, sure.
No. You ask me. You do that.
Okay.
Yeah, Mark. I really think it was crazy what Donald Trump did.
Why?
Because he's crazy as a president. I just think it's crazy what he did.
Well, say a little more about that. What? Give me some examples of what he did.
What more do you want me to say? I told you. You saw him on there. He was taking the documents home. He's the president. They don't belong to him. It's crazy.
Was there any other examples?
Why you keep asking me why?
I'm just trying to.
Is there something else you? I mean, then that becomes. Do you see what I'm saying? My family is so colorful. I'm telling y'all that would
think that's
become
a
the
cultural
argument.
thing.
Huh?
You think that's a cultural thing? Because again, in my family, you don't see that kind of thing. Jonathan's is pretty quiet. And we've talked about this before. Like black culture tends to be louder. Like a lot of white people go, "Why is that black angry?"
Man, I was no, I'm just joking.
Yeah. Do you think it's a cultural thing? Out of curiosity?
No, I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think that it's a family dynamic thing, and I'll tell you where it stems from. And my family gets mad when I say this. But my grandmother, God rest her soul, she was the most amazing woman on the planet. She always wanted her family to be together, right? So when my grandmother was alive, everybody was getting along. Everyone was going to be together. Everyone was at the barbecue. Everyone was at the wedding. There was no such thing of not inviting folk. And so she was like, well, I don't want them. Well, they're going to come. And she would make us be together. It was like,
were there still conflicts or?
I mean, she'd be like, stop it.
She would intercede.
She would intercede the conflicts. And so we never had an opportunity to fully express or vet how we were feeling or thinking. And we just learned to suppress whatever it was and get along, go along to get along, because that's what the matriarch said in the family. Now that she's gone, it has reawakened everything that what people were feeling the entire time. It was always there. The feelings were there, the thoughts were there, but we were never able to express it. And what also happened was, because we were not allowed to express it, we weren't also allowed to figure out the best way and the manner to express it. And so now you have grown folks. I'm now an adult, and my aunts and uncles, where we're all communicating, and we don't know necessarily how is the best way to express things that we don't particularly care for. Like I've been in situations with other people. I say, you know what? I don't like it when you do this. This offends me. I have a problem with it. I'm not feeling this, and I would appreciate it if you stop. I can't have that conversation with my family because we're all walking violations. You tell us what your boundaries are, and we're gonna pick at those boundaries. Do you guys have people that are in your lives that are that way?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Again, like I'm thinking back to this.
I'm the only one with the crazy.
I don't know about that.
Family.
I was just thinking back to this example with my two kids where, there was a blow up and then they came back, and frankly, I did go talk to one of them to try to calm them down. And then he actually then went to his sister and they came to a compromise and it was good after that. So I don't know of situations where then people try to pick at something you've said I don't really like. I don't think I know of that.
Jonathan, you mentioned, what do you think? You're like in deep thought.
He's thinking over there.
I'm trying to think of how that dynamic works because I know how it works in my immediate family and how it works within my mom, my dad, my sister, and I. It is, okay, we are going to sit down either alone. We're going to try and think through this alone. We're going to bounce it off of each other. What is the other side of this? Where are they coming from saying they're disagreeing with me? Okay, where is that person coming from?
Why do they?
And we're not going to sit down with that person and talk about it. We're going to talk with someone else. Hey, do you know? Or we're going to think through,
that's a whole nother. All right, why are you talking to other people about me?
No, they're trying to understand why you feel that way. Do you know why he feels that way?
And there are times when, as I mentioned, we go off into our own little groups and we're like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? Well, this person just had this happen in their life. Well, back when this person was a kid, this is how they grew up. Oh, I kind of see. And it's a manner of, and I don't think it's something that we intentionally like, okay, we're going to sit down and resolve our issue now.
Right.
It's something
that's just to understand what prompted that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yep. Or we agree with each other and say, yeah, that person's being a total
You white people are so
jerk.
organized with dealing with your family issues. This sounds so good. What is it called?
I think you need to bring Jonathan in as a family counselor.
No.
You know what? You should have
Dr.
a mediator.
Pashik.
Dr. Pashik, come into a mediator for Kareem's 4th of July.
Hold on. I got something I want to say about that. But Stacey Crouch says, I call it poking at triggers. Are there. Yeah.
Buttons.
No, you are not alone. I am not alone. But no, what I need to do is I need to come with Dr. Pashik and just have him come. And he's just going to be a family plus one. and he's going to work us through those issues. But those of you, if you're dealing with those same, I'm going to give you 7 steps that they're saying are so important to help with when you're dealing with difficult people. And you can use this if it's your family or in the workplace. But you want to choose your battles wisely. Consider your relationship with this person. Is it even worth it? Why argue with folks that don't really have a significant meaning? 2, pause for a moment before reacting to take difficult behavior. I've learned that this is golden. I take a deep breath. My grandmother used to always say, put some water in your mouth and go about your business and give yourself a moment to really think about how you feel. Number 3, state your needs clearly with assertive communication. I don't appreciate it when you do this. That one doesn't work in my family. I'm going to tell you by experience. Number 4, continue being polite. No matter what the response or the other person, keep cool. Do not resort to name calling. It all goes downhill from there. Number 5, stick to the facts. Just talk about the issue at hand and the relative of facts, not things that happened 20 years ago, but we're talking about the issues at hand today. Number 6, set limits with them and stick to those limits. It's hard to say that you don't appreciate something and then you begin to laugh at it one moment. I don't like the nickname and then you laugh at it. So be consistent with the limits that you set. And number 7, minimize your intentions. Although hopefully you can deal with the problem in person. If not, limit your time and your exposure to that individual. I want you to really quickly, Mark, give me a quick thought of something that you might utilize or give some people a tool on how they can overcome these crazy relationships.
I think what you said, go in prepared mentally when you know you're going to go into a situation and do not react emotionally. Do not emotionally react on the spot. That would be my one big piece of advice.
Someone said Dr. Pashik will be changed by the end of that family meeting. Laugh out loud. I think that you're absolutely right, Stacey. The holidays are supposed to be a time for us to come together and to enjoy. As we noted here today, sometimes they can be filled with stress. But either way, find a way to enjoy the best moments of your family and kick the other pieces out. Eat the meat and do away with the bones. Thank you for tuning in for the United Shades of Gray. God bless you all. Grace and peace.